And I think we're back up to Malachi.
Okay.
Malachi, how do you navigate through creative blocks when planning your campaign?
I like to use random tables. Even if I roll something, I don't necessarily use it. It gets my brain thinking.
I have so many
Uh,
books behind me. You can't see them because they're on the shelf above, of just random tables for various dumb reasons that I might ever use once in my life, but that would be how I would use it.
And one of my favorites is the Mythic GM Emulator 2nd edition. It's got so many just descriptors and verb tables that you can roll on. I've seen it used a lot in action, and I think it works really, really well.
I like. I had to go get this printed out by Matt Finch. How big that bad boy is. Plus, I've got a bunch of others, but yeah, if you can't get ideas out of this, you don't have to use it for your entire adventure. But if you can't get ideas from this, there's really something wrong with you.
Yeah, the only time I re-roll is when it's so off the wall that it won't work.
That's right. Yeah, I like the idea. Like when Bear was talking earlier about Green Dragon for second level characters, I like that weird stuff happening because it also because the way I describe it. Pardon me for probably shouldn't be talking this much as the host, but whatever. Is that I don't like this concept of I rolled Green Dragon and then it turns into a Street Fighter match. Round 1, fight. It's like, no, there's so many ways of bringing that green dragon in as an encounter. It could be a polymorph character in the woods. It could be something flying overhead. It could be hunting somebody else that maybe you could rescue. There's infinite possibilities as to it could be injured. And maybe even though it's evil, it might owe you a service if you do something for it, or you just kill it right then and there. Who knows? But there's just so many things you can do with things like that. And like you're talking about tables for adventures, same thing. You can take some of that weird stuff and maybe make it seem less weird if you just implement it well. Mm-hmm. So what am I going to do? Here you go. So, using the random table idea, like how do you handle moments when your campaign doesn't go as planned? So, you've had it going, now you've had to roll on a random table, and it still feels to you like this was not what I expected. And by planned, I know some people are very sandboxy, like, oh my God, they're going to freak out. Like, don't you ever say that. Others are more railroady. But I'm talking like whatever that means to you, even your sandbox is going, okay, this is getting a little weird off the rails here. This isn't how I want it to work, whatever. How do you handle those moments?
Usually when I'm going to the random table, I'm going to get it to work. For me, it won't feel weird. It's going to feel right. I'm going to make it feel right. Because to me, the little part of me is like, Destiny is bringing this in. I got to use it.
So you kind of fight through it, so to speak. Do you think that helps get your brain juices flowing a little bit by having something so off the wall that you're like, okay, for something mundane, it might have been boring, but now I really got to think, okay.
Yeah. And then depending on what you're looking at, if you have a more magical setting, a more high fantasy setting, you can really lean into it then if it's really off the wall.
Okay. All right, Jade. How do you navigate through creative blocks when planning your campaign?
So, generally speaking, when I'm planning things out for my game, if I run into a roadblock, I will pivot and I will change directions entirely, and I will go work on something else for a little while. I might go, watch, a show, listen to an audiobook, do something else, get my brain a moment to think in a entirely different direction. I might become inspired that way. The other method I might use is if I am against basically against the wall with a clock ticking down on me, before my game session starts, I'm going to use a deck of cards or some other means of randomly coming up with material and random idea starters.
You've played Twilight 2000, sir.
Well, I've heard of it. I've never played that one. I think I've read part of it. I digress. But no, so I've got something like a deck of 52 cards. The ICRPG Think deck is a deck of just standard playing cards. Each card and suit means something. So I'll draw out, like if I need a direction for the night, I'm going to look to first off my notes from the last session, the tribunal at the last session. What do my players think we're going? Where do they believe we're going? What do they believe is happening next? So I'm going to look there first. If I can't come up with anything based on that, I'm going to draw a set of like 4 or 5 cards from the think deck, and I'm going to interpret the cards as they hit the table in order, and I'm going to reflect back to my notes of what my players have given me. And I'm going to try to correlate what those cards mean based on what my players have given me already. And I'm going to tie things together as best I can and interpret the cards like a tarot reader from whatever I've got in front of me. And that's going to be what the next session is.
So how do you manage burnout during the long-term campaign planning process?
Play other games, be a player at other tables. Experience more RPGs out there. Take a break every once in a while, and get into a different seat, different mindset entirely. And read. Go to your library, pick up a book. Even a book that you're not normally used to reading. Just think a different direction. If you're into actions and whatnot, and you're kind of always doing actions, go read a romance. Change your perception just a little bit, and it will help greatly in inspire you and throw you into an entirely new direction.
I can't tell you how much I agree. I agree with all that, but with the first part of sitting at another table and becoming a player for a little bit, the amount of ideas that I've tweaked from other game masters, where I say in my head, I could do that better, or I would have done this differently, or whatever, is just like that's the best gold mine to me. It's even better than reading, because reading takes forever. I can sit at one table, like I'd have done this differently. A great idea, and I say that I really wanted to piggyback on that, because so many people out there. Oh, I just have my group. Oh, we just play this one game. Man, the things that you can get just by playing a different game with a different group, even if it's a one-shot, but I would say do more than that, is just absolutely fantastic. It is a gold mine. Bear. Question is now for you. How do you navigate through creative blocks when planning your campaign?
What is this word planning? It is not the way of my peoples.
Well, let's be fair. I mean, to be fair, the Codex Albana has been planned. I mean, you got a lot of planning in that, at least in the setting. Remember, this is about campaigns and setting. It doesn't have to be every adventure, but
I know.
Oh, okay.
I read. I watch movies. I dive into my comic collection. I pick some animated show and watch a bunch of episodes of that or something else. Usually something not fantasy or not sci-fi or not superhero if I'm in one of those games. And that helps a lot. Getting it, because when I run a game, when I run a campaign, or I'm working on a campaign, I am a full immersion person. If I'm designing a superhero campaign, all my wallpapers on my random wallpaper on my computer are going to be superhero stuff. Every video I'm going to watch on YouTube is going to be superhero stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when I'm getting to a block point, I then start looking at other stuff that isn't at all related to the superhero stuff, just to keep myself thinking in a new direction. Works really well. Really helps.
Awesome. By the way, a lot of good chat going on there. Obviously, I don't have time to read it all, but the conversation you guys are having in chat is great. But my follow-up for you, Bear, is what advice would you give to other game masters struggling with creative blocks?
Step away, little girl. Walk the fuck away from it for a day. Touch grass. Get outside. Do something else. Play a video game. Watch a movie. Talk to your friends. Go talk to someone who's not in the campaign and say, hey, I'm having a problem with this. Any ideas? Any thoughts? Any inspirations? Just don't sit there beating your head against the wall. Writers learn this very carefully, which is do not try and beat your head against writer's block. It will not work, and you will feel really stupid afterwards. So that's my advice.
Do not take Crafty's advice. Or do, I don't care.
What's Crafty's advice?
Nope.
Yes, absolutely. Do that too, and then get outside and touch grass.
I feel like I had something I wanted to ask, and I now don't know what it is anymore. Yes, you got us. You got us. Thank you, Crafty. All right, I'm going to read. Do you guys have any things you want to say to each other? Looks like a couple people stepped away for a moment here. I understand. It's a long stream.
It's my time to shine. Yes.
They got to do pee-pee breaks.
No, I'm good. I got nothing.
I was actually looking for my think deck.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, my version of Index Card RPG, I don't know if it has that. It might, and I just don't remember. It's been a while since I looked at
It's
it.
an add-on from
Oh, okay.
Hank. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a separate add-on.
So anything you guys wanted to ask each other or confront each other or whatever about that's been said so far? Are we ready to move on to the next? I'm going to ask more argumentative questions next week. All right. So,
Ask more argumentative questions now.
no, I have them already written, detailed out. So again, you guys in chat have been doing a great job of keep the conversation going. I've been reading it. You have a lot of good ideas out there. But I will say that Crafty has been a member now for 43 months. I've got 5 months left before I have to make a 4. I cannot find the template for them. I think it's on my old computer, so I may have to you may have a completely brand new 4 for being a member for almost 4 years. So thank you very much, Crafty. Really do appreciate that. And glad you're in chat tonight. And then Full Metal Dragon, just being a good citizen. Well, that's awesome. Thank you very much, citizen. I appreciate that. Actually, you're not a citizen. You're a member. That makes you a centurion. That's right. Roman here. But thank you very much, Full Metal Dragon. All right. And the final question, starting with Jade. What strategies do you use to find inspiration for campaign creation? Now, I didn't say this, so you can take this whatever direction you want, but my visualization of this question wasn't like, okay, I've got the idea in mind, let's go forward with that, read some books and so forth. No. Mine's like, I want to do something, I want a new campaign completely from soup to nuts. So where do you get that inspiration?
Oh man, I like I said before, I'm still running a campaign world that's over 25 years old, and I'm still finding new things to go and explore and have players run through or walk me through. Even.
Well, let's use what you said earlier, though. You're now doing, it might be the same world, that's great, but you're now doing a completely new thing with that Bronze Age. How did you get the inspiration for that?
So I have all these legends and stories and events that have happened in the deep past of the game world. Nobody knows what happened in truth. They have half-truths. They have ideas of what may have happened. Nobody knows where these beings of great power came from, or why they chose to rise up and become these powerful beings. And this is the story of them, those beings who rose up against great adversity to see their world to safety. Or did they? Maybe it's a different timeline entirely, a darker path maybe. Whatever happens during this Bronze Age game is going to kind of reset the world in a way of what my campaigns going forward are going to look like. Is it going to be a darker world? Is it going to be a lighter world? I don't know yet. And that, to me, is what is the exhilarating part, is even though this is a campaign world that's been going for 25 years, I know a lot about it. I know I've got it all up here. I've got it in my notes of all the things that have happened thus far, except the ancient past, the past nobody truly remembers. And that's what excites me. That's, things that I don't know as the curator of this world. That is what excites me. And that is what gets me going in these directions. Like, oh, we've never done that. I want to know what's going to happen, when they interact with these people who are very advanced compared to everyone else. What are those interactions going to be like? I don't know. Are they going to be what causes that civilization to fall because of their interjection of ideas?
The Bronze Age collapse was co-created by the players.
I mean, it's possible. The Bronze Age didn't really last all that long before they got into, in our world, the Iron Age. So, what if the players like, oh, hey, we've found this strange red rock that is harder than bronze. What do we do with it? And suddenly they're entering the Iron Age. They are kickstarting the advent of science and metallurgy. So I'm really invested in seeing where it goes and what my players decide to do with something that's almost an entirely blank slate. And the players I'm going to get at the table, some of them have never interacted with this world before, ever. And that is truly exciting to me because I want to know what they are going to do with it. I'm basically handing them a Rubik's Cube, a dodecahedron Rubik's Cube, and saying, here, mix it up. And hand it back to me. I want to know what it's going to look like.
Okay.
And that excites me.
So, what is your approach to revising and improving existing campaign elements, especially as you're doing this in the history, things that you, based on, say, what the characters have done? So, what's your approach to these revisions?
So a lot of it, because I'm setting the Wayback Machine to like 13, 14, maybe even like 18,000 years pre whatever, my players have already done up to this point in the past 25 years of gaming. It's so far in the past that there are some events that aren't going to change. Some things that just don't change, fixed points in time, as Doctor Who would say. But there are some things that are going to be affected, and I am going to go through my notes. I'm going to find those points in history or those points in those games, and I'm going to revise them for anything going forward in any campaign I run in that game world going forward. So can players, build this great civilization in the Bronze Age and go back to it, 10,000 years later and find the ruins? Absolutely. And I'm going to enjoy every moment of them going through the ruins of this great civilization that they as players built in the previous game. And that's going to be amazing to me because it's not going to be as they left it at the end of this Bronze Age game. It's going to change. Other civilizations will have moved in and done things there and changed things. And who knows? They might be the next civilization that moves in and changes things.
Okay. Bear, moving on to you. Same question. What strategies do you use to find inspiration for campaign creation? Like, I know what your generic inspiration was, but how did you come up with the inspiration for Codex Albana?
So Albana started as a Harn idea.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was basically going to do a Harn campaign. And then we started digging deeper into Harn, and it was just too sticky for some of the stuff I wanted to do. So I said to my players, all right, screw that. We're making Albana. What? Yeah, let's do it. All right, what's the name of the country that does this? And then someone threw out a name. I said, what's the country that's like this? And they did the name. What was the big event that happened? And it's a thing. And I went, okay, great. Years later, I folded it into my West campaign, my campaign of the New Dawn of the West. That was where I had to start making edits and tweaks and look for inspirations and find ways to make things work. Because the West had elves and dwarves and dragons and things like that. And Albana was humanocentric for the most part, except for the beastmen, which are Neanderthals, essentially. So with that, I had to start bending, breaking, fixing, bip, bop, whap it, bip it, bop it, pow it, whatever the fuck that toy was in the 90s. And crank it. And then it all came together, slowly but surely, with a lot of work. Normally, though, when I'm setting out to make a campaign, the inspiration I look for is what kind of story do I want to tell? Do I want to tell an adventure story? Do I want to tell a political story? Do I want to tell a horror story? Do I want to tell a world outside your window story? And then that will guide my initial campaign creation thoughts. And then it'll take on a life of its own and might end up a million miles from there or might end up spot on there. But that's what I do.
Okay. How do you incorporate feedback from players to enhance your campaign?
Well, I don't give a fuck what my players think.
Well, I'm just saying, are there things that they could do that weren't, that weren't expressed in the campaign setting that you can now incorporate as things go on?
No. Lots of ideas have changed due to player interaction. When one player tweaks on one aspect of the campaign or it was just a throwaway, and then they want to play a character that's related to that thing, and then we develop it out of there, they are changing the campaign world. And one of the times I gave them a reward on it was they were playing a new campaign after finishing a 4 or 5 year campaign in the world. And they were playing a new campaign, which was in the future and whatever and all that. And then they found out that the biggest event in the history of the world had been caused by them after we had stopped the other campaign, when they basically managed to sort of realize that these immortal people they were chasing around who were causing all these problems were their old characters who were trying to right their wrongs, but were causing more damage as they went. So, it was a little like, here you go, guys. Thanks for playing in the campaign.
Okay. Malachi, what strategies do you use to find inspiration for campaign creation?
I'm kind of like Bear. I'll get like a general idea what kind of campaign I want to run, maybe a genre, and then I'll find things that I can read, things I can watch, basically anything I can consume to feed into what I have in my head to start with and to start fleshing it out.
Okay, that's it.
I'm big on stealing from other people.
Somebody actually said, you know what, I should have started that one. I didn't, but somebody said that before. Basically, the game masters are all thieves.
Mhm.
Steal. There you go. So, what resources do you turn to when you're feeling stuck in your campaign creation?
I'm big on TV shows and movies, going through finding stuff. Even the really bad B movies, I'll sit down and I'll watch them to get inspiration. Because you never know where you're going to find it.
In the
Okay.
couch cushions.
And the couch cushions. I found a
Sometimes,
quarter
yeah.
and an old popcorn.
Okay, hang on, wait. So
Keep
the
a-
staple mining industry is being ruined because of an agricultural guild that wants to bring corn farming into the area, and now a guild fight's happening. See, I just found inspiration with your quarter and your piece of
Yep.
popcorn.
See?
Keep a pad of paper handy when you're watching these things. You know, it could be a TV show, a movie, reading a book, listening to an audiobook if that's more your speed. Just keep a pad of paper or something available, and when inspiration hits you, pause and take note of it immediately. Let that torrent flow. There's no bad ideas when inspiration hits you. You know,
Yeah.
you can weed out anything that doesn't make sense or you don't like after you've let the torrent flow. But get
When
all your
inspiration
thoughts
hits
out.
you, hit it back. Punch it in its face until it coughs out an adventure idea. That's what you do.
Mhm.
Everyone sits around waiting for inspiration and thinks it's going to be like this fucking muse on high is going to come down from Olympus and touch your skull. And
Nope.
oh, rare. What happens is you're watching a fucking movie and you're watching Old Boy and you go, that hall fight. Oh my god, that hall fight. How can I do that in D&D? You know what I mean? Punch it back.
Mm-hmm. Use it.
It's like a fucking Pez dispenser, a pinata. The more you punch it, the more good stuff's going to fall out of it. And eventually you're going to have great ideas.
Yep.
Yes, crafty, violent.
I mean, I guess you could make a pinata of ideas. You just put a bunch of ideas on like paper or something in a piata.
I don't need decks and I don't need tables. It's in your head, guys.
Yeah, but I see tables and decks as things like, when long ago, and I'm going to embarrass myself for a moment here, when I used to do things like tarot cards and so forth, is I saw them as not like the answer to everything, but it could get my brain to focus in a different direction or a direction I wasn't prepared for or whatever. So I just see it as a tool to manipulate my mind into a direction that I need to go. So I don't mind tables and dice and random stuff or cards and whatnot for that. And Jade, we'll get to your cards here once we kind of start wrapping up, which will be the next thing. But yeah, so do you guys have anything else you want to say to each other? Anything on?
The most goddamnedest ideas I ever had for NPCs are based off of not movies and TV, but people and things in my life. Literally, the crime lord of Kessel in my city and his number one goon.
Lackey.
No, he's his fucking murderer. He's a swashbuckler from the south. Are based on my old cats and even had their names, Patches and Dante, because they both behave exactly like those cats did. And that was inspiration. And then they watch you give them different names. I'm like, fuck it, Patches and Dante. That's their names, but it works for the NPCs. And my players loved those fucking characters, even though they were the antagonists. They wanted to always be around them. It was so weird.
Okay. Anything else? Okay.
Nope.
All right, well, before we go into super chats, we'll have our panel remind us who they are, what they create, where they can find them on the internet. I know Jade wants to share something. We'll do that as well because I think it's pertinent to what we're talking about here. But I want to thank them for being here. I thought this was a great panel tonight. I thought the discussion stayed on topic. And you know what? Look at that. It's 8:32. This wasn't a freaking 1 hour long per second. Segment panel, but I think a lot of good information came out there. So I just want to remind folks to, if I can find the button, there we go, like, subscribe, and share this video. Live stream, well, can't share the live stream, but share the video with friends, family, anybody you think, hey, I know somebody who's trying to start a campaign. Let's send this to him.
Amazon delivery guys, pizza guys, just
hobo down the street, as I like to say. We will start with Malachi. Malachi, again, tell everybody who you are, where they can find you, and any final comments you have on this topic as a whole.
Malachi, my Substack's down in the description. At least it should be by now. Just writing essays on the hobby, and if anything, just do what you can to get your imagination flowing. That's your best bet when you're working on creating a campaign world.
Malachi brought out his smoker's voice.
Yeah,
I know, eh?
Ooh.
All right, let's put this on the stage. So this is what I can't see because I unfortunately have it small because of other stuff I have going on, but hopefully people can read that. But go ahead and tell us what this is, and also tell us who you are and where they can find you.
My name's Jade. I am at Jade's Tabletop Tavern on YouTube, at Jade Duo. And this is one of the tools that I have been kind of describing all night. This is the Think Deck from Runehammer Games, Hank Infernal. To create a challenge, you draw 3 cards, rooms 4 cards, so on and so forth. And each card has, you read the cards as they hit the table, including inversion. And each suit and card means something. And you can set the determination of what those card suits, and this is just a standard deck of playing cards. You can set the determination of what a suit means, hearts, diamonds, spades, and clubs. And then you can set values for what each one of the individual numbers means in that suit. Lesser clubs would be lesser foes, a 3 in all suits. So a lesser foe of clubs is something to do with nature, maybe. Or maybe it's a diamond and it's some kind of wealthy merchant, but it's a lesser foe all the same. This is just one example of an idea to use to get your creative ideas going. It could just be the starting point or the first catch of the flame to get you moving in a direction. It may not be the final direction. It's however you interpret the cards, though. It's just one of the tools I use in my toolbox.
Okay. And that's because I like all these tools. Like, I showed this. I got a whole ton others behind me. I wish I could remember the name of those Flying Buffalo books. It's just they're too small for me to read above me. But there are lots of resources out there. As Bear told us earlier, use your brain. That works as well for some people. Bear.
Yeah.
Who are you? What do you create? And any final comments do you have about the topic tonight?
I am Bear, the Gen X GM. I have a channel. I create content. I don't really. I just do live streams where I talk shit. And I write comics, though not lately. And I'm working on a role-playing game, and I'm doing a personal hack for Star Trek right now. And I run some live games. And don't subscribe to me. Leave me alone. Beyond that, I'm the guy who says, remember, when you go to a play that you've never read, you don't know what the actors are saying is in advance. So if they fuck up a line and you've never read that play and they don't clue you in that they fucked up the line, you won't know. You'll just think it's part of the play and keep going along. Well, your players don't know about your campaign. And if you fuck up something or you make something up on the spot, they're not going to know. So don't be afraid of it. Dive into it and have fun with it. Taste it, rub it on your skin, put it on your gums, powder it and snort it. Do whatever you need to do to be a part of your campaign. And when you make something up on the fly and your players react super positively to it, that's going to charge your nards like nothing in this world ever will, and you'll be more confident next time. So just get out there, try.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I want to thank all the panelists one more time for being here tonight. Please like, subscribe, and share. On Sunday, Heathen Dog and I'm going to continue on with Twilight 2000. This time we're going to do the character creation in terms of the archetypes, which is, hey, I just want to jump into the game. Here's an archetype. Let's go. For those of you who know the Year Zero engine, it's very similar to how you create characters in Alien and Mutant Year Zero and so forth. And then there's the life path system. I love life path systems in games. I hope I get to love this one as well. We'll see if it's a good one or not. And we're going to see if Heathen Dog cannot roll a GIMP character. Next Friday, our panel will discuss Railroad versus Sandbox Gaming. Bear will not be here. We already know that he doesn't do sandbox gaming. but we should have a good panel next week because we have somebody that's on the Railroad side, somebody that's on the Sandbox side, and somebody that's in the middle, kind of a hybrid between the two. And sure, there are more possibilities than that, but I only have a panel of 4 people, so that's how we're going to do it. And with that, I hope each and everybody has a wonderful week and hope to see you then.